Welcome, Defenders, to another episode of the Defender Facebook Live. This week, I'm joined by Army Veteran and now Trademark Attorney, Andy Nelson. Andy, welcome, brother. Thanks for coming on. Can you give us a little introduction on yourself?
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it, Raiden. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, Army veteran. Got out a while back. I got out in 1994. Went 7 straight years of college after that, and I've been practicing law in California since 2001. So I guess that makes it 17 years now, man. So 17-year run at this point. So that's the short version. So I'm in California now. I've been living down here since 2003. I'm originally a Washington State native. So I still feel the Seattle in me from time to time, but I don't miss the rain.
So you said you were stationed you were in the service in the 90s.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about who you served with and where did you serve?
Yeah. I often, what I've been saying lately to people is I had a remarkably unremarkable time in the Army. I came in, I actually enlisted before the first Gulf War. But I was still in high school at the time, so I did the whole delayed entry program for almost a year. Gulf happened while I was still in high school, watching it happen. Thing a lot of people do. I entered the Army 7 days after graduating high school, something like that. Went to Fort Benning, did AIT there. I enlisted as 11X, which I know a lot of other people know what that is. It's an unassigned infantry MOS, but became an 11B. Which is what I expected I would be. So I was in Fort Benning, Georgia from June to all the way through October to hit AIT, and then which is infantry school, and then also airborne school at Fort Benning. And then, no surprise, I got my orders to go to Fort Bragg. I hired time there with the 2nd of the 505th, which is the Panther Brigade, and an infantry battalion there. So. And I say it was remarkably unremarkable because I didn't really go anywhere. I went every crap spot that was in the U.S. with one exception. I didn't go to JRTC, but I did my, I spent time at NTC. I did F6. People who know what that is, little DEA kind of joint program down in New Mexico. Spent the worst 3 days of my life in the Army and at Fort Stewart, Georgia. If anybody has really bad prickly heat, I'm not talking about really good prickly heat, but really, really bad prickly heat, that's where I got it. That's why I say that. And then I did spend some time down in Panama. So that was my remarkably unremarkable time with the 82nd Airborne Division.
Brother, you are showing your age. You enlisted before the first Gulf War?
Yeah, man. We're coming up this Saturday, I'll be turning 45.
Oh, okay.
So I get to spend my birthday on St. Patrick's Day every year, although I'll tell you what, it's not what it's cracked up to be. You'd think that I have the biggest party every year. It doesn't turn out that way.
Seems like you had an interesting time down, mostly you said Georgia area?
Well, I don't know about interesting. Yeah, I mean, I did basic and AIT, airborne school there, and then we just did, when you're in the second, they kind of, every once in a while, if you're not jumping down, at one of the DZs on Fort Bragg, they'll, send you somewhere not too far away. So we did a nice little 3-day stint, just cruised down to Fort Stewart, Georgia, and spent 3 days walking through the muck before coming back.
So you said it's been about 17 years you've been trademark attorney. You've been out of the uniform for quite some time now. What would be your best advice for those who are wanting to serve or to those that are still serving now?
I'd say, one, you got to check your ego. I probably almost got myself kicked out once or twice, kind of take hold of me. Be open to new experiences. I lived kind of a very, I don't want to say sheltered, but I didn't do a whole heck of a lot as a kid. And so, going in the Army was a culture shock for me. Something way new. I'd rarely even been out of Washington State at the time. I think I was out of state one time before I joined the Army. You got to be open to one being told what to do. A lot of people aren't going to experience that. Check your ego and just have some perspective. You got to think long term. When you're younger, I don't think you really have You don't have the big picture, right? You
Yeah.
only lived 18 years. When you live 45 now, like me, well, I've lived 18 a couple of times and then some. So best you can, when you're young, you got to try to do your best to think down the road a little bit. It's a stint. I remember I look fondly upon my time in service now, but I know damn well everybody thinks the same thing when they're in there. Like, man, I can't wait till I'm out of this thing.
Yeah.
I'm short. I'm this many days short. Well, I just re-enlisted, but now I'm this many days short. I know what it's like. You're bitching and moaning the whole time you're actually in. And then when you get out, then you're like, oh yeah, it was awesome. That wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I have some friends now who are, since gotten out years ago. And every time we get together, it's always like we always talk about the old stuff while we're in uniform. It's like it seemed at the time that it sucked, but then it was it was like the best times that we've had in uniform. So
Yeah, it's like a lot of things in life too. I mean, you can go back on personal relationships you've had, and they kind of go south, and you're like, oh man, this is bad. As time passes, usually it's the good stuff that kind of hangs around in your memories. I mean, I think you subconsciously and consciously also kind of get rid of all the bad, so which is great. No complaints there.
yeah, definitely, definitely. So let's talk about your transition
Yeah.
back in the 90s. How was your experience, from the military, and what led you to become, I guess, attorney? What led you to that pursuit?
When I went in the army, I knew I was going to be kind of a one-term guy. I mean, I flirted with re-enlisting, but I went in knowing just generally that I wanted to go to college. Didn't know exactly what for. And I was an average high school student, like a lot of folks who are a little bit undirected, but kind of have just a general kind of target in mind being, I'm going to go to college. So going in the army though really focused me. I really gained a lot of clarity on at least putting college in as like the next step, and I'm going to kill it. And I did. I mean, I did really well, and I was just focused. I mean, I was just focused on getting the work done, and kind of going through that gauntlet of the military made college, frankly, it just didn't seem all that hard. Didn't seem, and it's not like I took basket weaving or anything like that, but it just wasn't that bad. I mean, I had no complaints. I really enjoyed it. So I plowed through. Still didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, though. I knew what drew me. I knew I liked history. I knew I liked political science, and so I ended up having a double major. But really wasn't until probably my junior year of college that I kind of then came to the realization, like, oh my God, there's no future, or my future is very limited in having this degree. So what do I do next? Well, okay, I like poli sci, so I hear that maybe I should be a lawyer. I mean, it sounds pretty pathetic when I put it that way, but it wasn't. There was more thought than that, but not a whole lot more thought. So it just kind of became like the next step. I need, another 3 years, go to law school. So I ended up doing that. Stayed in California. I shouldn't say stayed in California. I moved to California from Washington. I went to University of Washington for undergrad. Moved to California
Okay.
school. And the thought process being, hey, I like politics. I'm going to be in government somehow. So let me just go to the biggest state government there is, right there in Sacramento, California. Did that within a year. I said, this is not for me. And what started to draw me at that time, and I don't remember exactly how it happened, but I started getting this interest in intellectual property, trademarks, copyrights, even patents at the time, that sort of thing. It started to really draw me in. And from there, I got lucky in my second year of law school. I had a great position for kind of a summer associate internship in the Bay Area. And it was pre-dot bomb at the time still, so everything was really going strong. I got hooked up with an intellectual property litigation team, and I got set. And once I found my way into that, I knew what I wanted to do. And so I've been doing that sort of thing ever since.
Well, you went through a lot of information there. So you talked about your transition, and then you talked about your journey into your college and your now profession. Tell us what was some of the hard times, or what was the worst moments that you've had during that transition, and then going into college, and then eventually you leading to an attorney.
Oh boy, um, you know, and I'll say it again. It's funny in college. College for me wasn't. I was indecisive. I mean, that was tough. I didn't know what I wanted to do, career-wise. Like, okay, I'm in college and I get this, and it's the pursuit of academia, and this is about doing well in the classes and getting grades. But like, what do I do with it next? And there's probably available to me somewhere, a mentor somewhere, but I didn't seek it out. I didn't find it. Nothing kind of presented itself. So it was really kind of the meandering, if you will, kind of tough, I guess, at times, because I just didn't know where to go. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I found the right path, but probably not the way I wanted to do it. So that was, that's kind of, I mean, during, the transition. Well, okay, let's focus on the transition. You said that. I did have a somewhat tough time actually transitioning to civilian life, if you want to call it that. Here I've been, in an infantry battalion for 3 years. I was out. I drove across the country from Fort Bragg back to Seattle. I was starting college in less than a week. I just learned that my guys almost jumped into Haiti because it was right at that time. I got out 3-4 days before they geared up and packed up to go invade Haiti, which then of course aborted. But I start college. I go find a part-time job, and that was different. I just go shoes, for a couple days a week, earn some extra money, and I had a bit of not a terrible time, but a bit of an interesting time, just kind of adjusting back to something that I'd done 3 years earlier, right? I mean, 3 years earlier, I had a high school job. Funny enough, my last job before I went in the Army was working at Target. Prior to that, I was like wash dishes and stuff like that. So, I mean, it hadn't been that long since I'd done something like that. There I was, 3 years in a really different environment. I had to kind of figure out how to lighten up, if you will. Things aren't so square, and it was a bit of a transition. It wasn't terrible. If I had been in the military longer, I bet it would have been a lot more difficult to adjust. It would have been a longer process. But even that short period of time was still somewhat of a period. I almost got myself fired once, or twice.
So how did you overcome that difficult transition? You talked about trying to find yourself. Did you have like some sort of mentor that you looked up to, or that you could kind of lead you to where you wanted to go?
I did not. I just kept focused. I didn't look too far ahead. I wish I had some greater perspective. I wish I would have had a mentor to kind of guide me along the way. I didn't. That's one thing I would tell people to do if you can. And I've heard some other people say it, like Stephen Kuhn has said it a bunch of times. Other people have said it as well. Get a mentor. Look for one. I think at times I just kind of anticipated that if one would show itself, then I might laugh. But I didn't do that. I didn't look for one. I just kind of meandered around. So I think I got lucky. I'm happy with the path I took, but could it have been a little more considered and guided along the way? I would have liked that. I would have been thankful for that if that happened. But I got where I got, so I made it.
Awesome, brother, and you're doing well, obviously. So a lot of people don't know how long we've known each other. I think about just over a year.
Yeah, year and a half, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you guys who are watching or listening, I met Andy through, I think it was LinkedIn. I reached out to him in LinkedIn because I had noticed his title. He was a trademark attorney. And at this point, I was, some of you guys know I have my own apparel line as well. I had some stuff going on, nothing crazy, but I was trying to shift into a different direction. And I reached out to Andy. I just messaged him on LinkedIn, and we got on a free consultation call. And from there, he was able to pretty much lead me to where I am today with my apparel company, which I'm very thankful for. So I wanted to share that experience, and I want to thank you personally here, Andy, for helping me out with my brand.
Yeah, I love it, man. Appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity. Whenever somebody reaches out to me to be a service provider, I'm really humbled by it. I'm really thankful, because there are a lot of folks that do everything out there. So somebody works with me, I'm thankful. So I appreciate it. It's been great. Plus, I love your name, man. Anybody that's got a name of a character in Mortal Kombat, I know it's spelled differently, but
Yeah,
maybe I'm now.
and
So,
a lot of people think I'm named after the character. I was born way before the game, so. But so if we do have listeners, viewers, people in the group who are wanting to start a business and trying to see if their names are trademark or how would they go about doing that. What's your tips and advice on for people who are starting a business in regards to trademarking?
it's simple. You got to look. You really have to look. Look, trademarks do two things. One, they help you build customer awareness and brand recognition, right? And what does that mean? That means people learn who you are and they can come back to you, which at the end of the day, what does that mean? It means dollars in your pocket. So there's a reason why you get a trademark, why you look for one. Thing that's not good is when you step on someone else's toes and swipe up someone else's goodwill, whether it's intentional or unintentional. It happens a lot. There's only so many words and symbols and logos and things in the world. Actually, probably truthfully, it's probably pretty much it probably is unlimited, truthfully. But there's only so many things that are actually valuable or what people perceive to be valuable. So people often grab stuff that is already taken or it's way too similar to someone else. There's a lot of myths that kind of persist out there that if I only change something or if I change something 15%, I'm all good, I can use it. It doesn't work that way. And look, you want to build brand recognition, you want to have a unique brand, you need to get something that is unique to you and distinctive. So what I'm telling you, it's not harder than looking. You just got to look. A search engine, Google or what have you, will probably give you 90+% assurance that what you're about to do is okay to do. Because I mean, intuitively, you see something, if you have a question in your brain about something you intend to do, you're probably thinking yourself that there may be a problem.
Yeah.
If there is, consult somebody about it to see if it really is a problem or not. A lot of times it won't be, but so many people just kind of dive in and they fall in love with something and they just start using it. And that can, if it's too, and I see this every day, if it's too close to what somebody else is doing, you might not get plinked right away. You might not ever get plinked. But the first thing you want to do is get plinked months down the road, a year down the road, after you've spent a bunch of money on your
Hey,
branding, your cards, on your advertising, only to have to start over again and build customer awareness all over again. No good.
hey, brother, I think you're frozen. Sorry about that.
Oh, is that right? Oh man,
Yeah.
I thought you were. All right, what do you need me to start over? I can go. I can do it quick.
Yeah, go
You're
ahead
still
if you can.
frozen.
Yeah, I think you're still
Okay.
frozen.
So in case all that was missed, I'll do it really fast. You got to look. You want to be distinctive in your branding. You want to. There's two reasons why you do it. You build customer awareness. You build customer loyalty. That turns into dollars in your pocket. So you want to be distinct. You want to have a distinctive brand. So what you want to do is you want to look. You want to make sure you're not grabbing up someone else's goodwill. You don't want to be confused with someone else's brand. You need to look. A search engine will get you most of the way there, 90% of the way there, maybe even 95% of the way, especially if you use words as your trademarks. If you use logos and things, that's a little bit more difficult to search. But look, it's looking. Looking, you can do it yourself for the most part. Look what else, find out what else is out there that's close to what you are or what you're intending to do. And if you don't have the answer for yourself, whether you're in the clear or not, then you might want to consult someone at that point to see if you're okay.
So, just talking about looking right. Other than Google or Yahoo or whatever search engine, what's recommended resource that you'd recommend to our audience?
There's some other third-party sort of businesses that are in this business, if you will. They're not attorneys. Attorneys can kind of facilitate, but there's a couple companies there's multiple companies out there, Trademark Now, Mark Monitor, and others. And what these companies do is they have proprietary databases. I don't know how they do it, but they are able to basically everywhere, and they can look if whether you want to use words as your trademark, if you want to use logos, slogans, whatever it is, they have the ability to scrape everywhere. All these little nooks and crannies, not just the trademark, the trademark office registration database, but many other places, and they can get you. I mean, if it's something close to what you're looking to do, they can find it. Now, those cost a little bit more money. If you're using Google or what have you, that doesn't cost you. time. These can cost in the hundreds of dollars to maybe even thousands if you want to look and see if your marks are clear worldwide. But most people need to do that. If you just look stateside, it's probably going to be less than $1,000. That can be done. That can be, you can do that directly, or you can do it with an attorney if you kind of need it kind of facilitated. There's some help with it in order to kind of narrow the search. But those are good resources. You really want that assurance, those are good resources.
Awesome, brother. Thanks for sharing that resource, and thanks for giving those tips and advice for those who are viewing right now and trying to start a business and see if their name or brand is taken. So we're gonna go into our last portion here. I don't know why, but it seems like you're still frozen, but we'll push through.
Can you hear me?
Hear you fine. Yeah, I can hear you. It's just your screen is still frozen. But
all right.
All right. So here are the 5 rapid fire questions. Are you ready, Andy?
Ready.
All right. What's your favorite workout?
Triceps on shoulders.
Shoulders.
Okay. Shoulders, man. Yeah. Shoulders.
What's your least favorite?
This trainer I know down here does a stadium workout down at Mission Viejo High School in Orange County. It's a killer.
Oh,
I mean, man. I like it, but
steps, the stadium steps.
Yeah, stadium. That's one part of it. That's probably the most brutal part of it. But yeah,
those are
9 up. 9 up. Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah. All right. Next question. If you had to choose one person to train with, who would you want? Who would that be, and why?
It'd probably be embarrassing for me, but I'd like to train with The Rock, man. I just think the guy'd be funny. I don't think he would. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't look anything like the guy, so he wouldn't even bother making fun of me. But
yeah.
You know,
he'd be a good motivation.
Yeah.
On your ear the whole time, probably.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Recommend a book for our viewers and listeners to read.
I'm gonna give you 3 if that's okay. One for exercise. One that really changed me about a year ago is called The Shredded Executive. It's by a guy. It's a Marine, as a matter of fact, by the guy named Damon Sewell. He's based out of Orange County. For marketing, or I should say network marketing, there's a book called Never Eat Alone. Like that one. And then for brand building or brand messaging, one that I think is super awesome is Building a Story Brand. That's by Donald Miller. I think that one's outstanding.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I still got to look into that. Building a Story Brand.
Building a Story
Awesome.
Brand.
Awesome. Great books. Next one. What's your favorite quote and why?
Never been huge on quotes, but I do have one that's I always laugh at. Believe it or not, I was at an Iron concert like, I don't know, 5-6 years ago down here in Orange County. So Bruce Dickinson, who's a really great front man, if you haven't seen him play, kind of a renaissance man these days. But Bruce Dickinson was cruising around, and I don't even remember what he was talking about, but he said, hey, you know what? And this probably isn't even his quote, but he said, sometimes you're the pigeon, sometimes you're the statue. And I just thought that was funny. I mean, it's stupid, but I think about it every once in a while because it gives me, it's like, that's life. Not everything comes out. When you're young, you think eventually everything's going to break my way. It doesn't work out that way, and I got to remember that. So sometimes I think on that quote, and I laugh.
Yeah, you just got to deal with it, the good and the bad, right?
Yep.
All right, awesome, brother. And finally, where can our members or viewers reach you at? Is there a website or social media?
Yeah, I've got of all things, I have a digital business card, which is really just a website that's really optimized for a mobile device, but got some work to do on it. But it is, here's the URL. It's www.andynelson.info. andynelson.info. That's my digital business card. It's got all my contact info on it. It's an easy way to get a hold of me. It's included my LinkedIn profile or Facebook, whatever. It's a good central location.
andynelson.info. I'll put that in the show notes. Awesome, brother. And then lastly, thanks again for coming on. So what can I or our listeners do for you?
Tell you what, man, you know what? I love, apart from practicing law, which is what I do, that's how I pay the bills. I love being able to put people together. So, what you can do for me is look to me as a resource. If you think, if somebody out there thinks, well, hey, look, if you need some legal stuff, fine, reach out to me. That's what I do. But if I can connect somebody with somebody else, I love doing that. I love being able to do that. So, you know, look at my LinkedIn profile. That's probably the best place. Facebook friends, but forget that. My LinkedIn profile, if you see people you know, and you think I can connect, or even if you don't see them, if there's a resource, Southern California, even my home state of Washington, uh, maybe I may not be connected directly. I may only be 1 degree separated from something. I may be able to get you that person, and I'm happy to do it if I can. So that's what you can do for me is if you think I can be a resource, reach out to me.
Awesome, brother. And shout out on that LinkedIn profile. I see you put in the work in there.
Oh yeah, now I haven't. I need to go look at it. It's been months and months since I've updated it, but I should probably check it out, make sure it's all current. I think it is.
Awesome, brother. Hey, Andy, thanks again for coming on and being a guest. Thank you for all the knowledge and the tips and advice that you've given us. And so we'll be on the lookout for you. Thanks for joining, brother.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. I really do appreciate it, and all the listeners in the group. I mean, I really love this group that you put together. So I follow it regularly. I'm in there every single day, so I really appreciate it.
Awesome. And then if you guys are out there listening or watching this, make sure you guys reach out to Andy for any business questions that you might have pertaining to trademarking and all that. All right. So with that being said, thank you guys for coming on. And Andy, thanks again.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right. Take it easy.